Call the meeting to order. Ask you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Before we get into the consent agenda, the first thing we're going to do tonight is have a special presentation by Howard Lake Waverly Winston Schools. And Nate, you're up.
We're up. Okay. Nate Walbrook, superintendent, and then also let Shanna introduce herself.
Shanna Mulvihill, HLWW school board member.
And then I'm just passing out to you a copy of our
Thank you.
Anyway, we spent a good deal of time last year working on this strategic plan. It's two-sided, and I think one of the things I'm most proud of as it relates to this plan is the effort and the lengths that we went to get feedback from our various communities and stakeholders. And so when I started the position last year, I as part of the interview process, one of the things I talked to the board a lot about was helping to find some focus for the schools, especially coming out of the pandemic. Schools were asked to expand the scope of their workload, and in some cases to the tune of it just being way too much. And so this strategic plan is our intent to try and really focus what our efforts and our energies end up looking like over the next couple of years. And like I said, one part that I'm really proud of is the process that we used, and Shana's here with me today to talk a little bit about what it looked like.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks for having us here tonight. I wanted to talk through a little bit about the process that we went through to develop the plan, and then Nate is going to kind of dive into some of the details. So when we started the process, we started with wanting to understand, based on a variety of different constituencies that we serve, what people thought of the district, what people were looking for from the district, and what we want for our communities. And so a couple of ways that we did that is we did some surveys. So we did both an internal survey of staff and administrators, as well as an external survey of parents and community members. So we had a lot of different lenses by which people were looking at what was happening in the district and what they wanted to see happen next. And then we did a variety of stakeholder groups, so listening sessions essentially to do the same thing, but in a more detailed way. And so those included listening sessions with community members and parents, a couple of them with teachers, and two with students as well, one with high school students and one with middle school students. I was one of a couple board members who was able to schedule in all of them to be able to see them all. And it was really great to hear a variety of different perspectives, but also really see some common themes come through that process, which allowed us to really kind of take those next steps toward developing the plan. The results of the surveys, if you will, and everything are right on our school website as well, and so on the strategic plan website. And so if you look at that information, you can really tie it to the document you see in front of you, because we really worked hard to make sure during the process that we were paying really good attention to what our stakeholders had to say. And then we put together a committee, which was a couple dozen people, I would say, that again was parents, community members, students, teachers, staff, to really jump in and do the work of developing the strategic plan. And so we spent, I believe it was 4 or 5 sessions working through that process to come up with the document that you see in front of you. So I think with that, I'll let Nate kind of dive into some of those details.
Yeah, the big thing I'd like to highlight is on the bottom of the front page, that a vision or a tagline that we're going to be using is every Laker, every day. And the idea behind that is that we want to dial in our systems and our professionals in such a way that that every student that comes to our district feels supported, that they are learning at high levels to prepare them for the next level in their life. And then also that the district's reach and impact goes beyond the campus borders, that we have an impact and we make a difference in all of the communities, naturally Winstead being included in that. On the bottom, we also see our 4 focus areas: student achievement and well-being, effective resource management, family partnership and community engagement, and staff development and support. And on the back side, you see these focus areas delineated into goals and objectives. And I'm not going to read through all of those words, but you end up getting a sense for the work that we're going to focus on. And as I lead the district, we're going to be spending more time and more resources on the things on this back page. And if there's something that's happening in the district that isn't on the back page, we're going to be spending less time and less resources on it so that we can really dial in and have a greater focus. We're already starting work on some of these ideas. 2 years ago, the Minnesota legislature passed the READ Act, which changed some ideas on how reading instruction was going to be looking and how students were going to be evaluated on their progress in reading throughout the state. We have already begun training our teachers, specifically our K through 6 teachers, our special education teachers, intervention supports, and our administrators are already starting to receive that science of reading training. They will all be trained by the end of this school year. And so that real important work is already beginning. We're also developing in the education world, we refer to them as professional learning communities, where teams of teachers work together to set goals and hold each other accountable, and they become interdependent teams as they seek to guarantee learning for all of their students. And we're going to be talking a lot about that, and I could talk about that one idea for about 6 hours. I'm not going to do that here tonight.
You're right, you're not.
Yeah. If you want to know more about it, I would love to talk to you about it until either you or I turn blue in the face. But it's a process by which we organize our teachers to be able to guarantee instruction for every student that walks through our doors. Part of this idea of a professional learning community is that with these teacher teams, that if you have all of your 3rd grade teachers, for example, that exist under one roof, they are able to learn from each other. And if, for example, Shanna and I were teachers on the same grade level team, and Jesse was one of our students, and he was giving me great difficulty, I wasn't able to reach him. Because Shanna and I are on the same team, there isn't anything that impedes Jesse starting to work with Shanna because maybe she relates to him better or what have you. And so the whole idea is that every teacher on this teacher team has different skills and talents that they can teach each other, but that they can also use that diversity of skill to reach every kid that ends up coming to the school. To that end, we are exploring a different plan and a different setup for the 25-26 school year. So that would be the next school year. And in this plan, we would change the way our district looks. Right now, we obviously have a K4 building here in Winstead. We have another K4 building in Waverly. Under the proposed plan, we would change these 2 elementaries to be grade level buildings, meaning one of the mutations that we're looking at is at Humphrey, we would host all of the kindergarten, 1st and 2nd graders, and then all of the 3rd and 4th graders would be here at Winstead. The main advantage to this is we end up being able to have all of the teachers of a grade level under one roof. And the professional learning community movement that's going to be a part of our everyday work demands that all of these grade level teachers be in the same building so that they can work and learn from each other. It also has a really interesting advantage as far as the students are concerned, because right now there's two experiences in the district. There's the Winstead experience and there's the Humphrey experience. And if I had a really skilled reading teacher in Humphrey and I had weaker reading teachers here in Winstead, kids get really great reading instruction, not based on the skill of our teachers, but just by dumb luck. And our work is too important, and the expectations that we have to make sure every kid is grade ready is too important to just leave it to dumb luck. And so when we reorganize our district using grade level buildings, this allows us to guarantee that every teacher is able to access mentoring, coaching, and able to see really great models within their own grade level. As part of the strategic plan feedback, one of the most consistent messages that we heard is that the most difficult transition for families is when they move from 4th grade to 5th grade. And that is super unusual. I've now worked in 5 school districts, and this is the first district I've ever heard of something like that. Usually the most difficult transition is when they move from 8th grade to 9th grade, usually because the middle school setting is so different than the high school setting. And as we sought additional feedback on this trend, one of the issues was the sociality that students build while they're in elementary school. And so what happens is in 5th grade, when they end up at the big campus, that's the first time that the Humphrey kids start mixing with the Winstead kids consistently. And there's a lot of, I shouldn't say conflict, but there's a different experience that the two of them have. And part of acclimatizing to a new schedule and a new school, and then we add on top of that, that when they walk into a classroom as 5th graders, they only know half of the students in there. Creates for an awkward tension, certainly. As the district has continued to struggle with budget situations, one of the issues that we've come into is having a difference of population between Winstead Elementary and Humphrey Elementary specifically. As the Waverly area and to a lesser extent Howard Lake continue to have building development and people moving in large numbers, the population distribution in the district trends towards Humphrey. And if we don't change the grade level buildings, eventually the district will have to draw a very awkward boundary line right in the middle of Howard Lake somewhere. And if you live on one side of the border, you go to Humphrey, and if you live on the other side of the border, you go to Winstead. And invariably there's going to be life circumstances or exceptions that people are going to ask for that we just won't be able to grant, that will create additional conflict within our communities, that we don't want to have to deal with that because we have a better solution anyway, which is the grade level buildings. There are also direct benefits to the communities beyond just the learning that takes place within the walls. Both in the chamber here at Winstead and then in a couple other leadership or community leadership groups, they've been asking for opportunities to have more daycare within Winstead. And the same is true in Waverly. And changing to a grade level buildings in both sites allows us to open up classrooms to provide daycare services for both Winstead and for Waverly. The city, and I don't know what the name of the group was that Neil and I were in, but we were approached by McLeod County, and they have interest in opening a Head Start location here in Winstead as well. And there are a lot of, it's a federal program, so there's a lot of random rules and red tape that you have to navigate through. But as we as a group talked through it, Winstead Elementary was, if not the only site, one of the few sites in Winstead that was going to be able to host a Head Start program with little to no renovation requirements and be able to get a program off the ground immediately upon approval by the federal government. And so moving to the grade level buildings would allow us to host a Head Start program here in Winstead, would allow us to expand daycare options here in Winstead. And finally, there's a financial impact to this, to the positive to the district. In the school world, we call grade levels, we number them by sections, and each section is a teacher. So for example, if you have 50 kids in a grade level and there are 25 kids in a section, that 50 kid grade level is considered a 2-section grade level, if that makes sense. HLWW is a decidedly 4-section school, meaning basically every grade level has between 95 and 105 kids in it. There are a couple of random outskirt ones here, but just about every grade level falls within that range. And because of the way the district has been organized according to staffing 2 full elementaries in Winsted and Waverly, we've had to overstaff in Waverly because of the grade level. And so in a few grades, we're staffing for 5 sections, meaning we're hiring 5 teachers for each grade level, when in reality, our funding is only designed to give us 4, if that makes sense. But just due to the numbers of kids that are at Humphrey, we have to throw another staff member in there. And so going to a grade level setup also allows us to right size our staffing compared to the enrollment that we end up having. So part of my purpose for kind of laying all of that out was to advise you that this is a thing that our school board is considering. We haven't taken any vote or any action on it yet, but as we've navigated budget situations and as we look to be sustainable, not only in the immediate, but then also in the long term, this was an idea that came out as we've been trying to think outside the box in a way that doesn't require us to go to the voters again. And my intent for coming here was to see if you had any questions or concerns or feedback about a plan like this. Just again, trying to get community leadership input. You all see things in a different way than we do. And so we want to try and identify if we have any blind spots. But then also, in about a month, I will start communicating to our families that this is a proposal. And so if you end up getting stopped in the street or an email about it, that you at least have enough knowledge to be dangerous, and maybe answer a couple of questions on a street corner or what have you. But then absolutely, you could refer those citizens my way or to any of our school board members. So big intent is if you have questions or thoughts, reactions as you hear kind of the way this plans get laid out, and I'm happy to answer the questions, or I'm happy to write down any ideas or thoughts that you might have.
I have a comment and a couple questions. Jesse gives everybody here great hardship too. Well, not only you. Talking about the 2 cultures in Waverly Elementary and Winsted Elementary, and I understand what you're doing and why, but is the master plan down the road to have a grade school by your middle school and high school?
That's a really good question. And I think when I started, I know there was a lot of talk about what I'm calling a unified campus where everything is kind of a one-stop shop. And again, one thing that became super clear out of the strategic plan was that that's not a wise move. And so I think this grade level plan allows us to be able to sustainably keep buildings open in all of our communities. So at least for right now, the intent is to remain. We are not exploring what it takes to build a 4-section elementary or 5-section elementary school on our property there in Howard Lake. So the intent is to stay. One of the interests that I have in having Head Start here at Winsted is our portable classrooms that are just located off to the north and east side of the building. Those are nearing the end of their useful life, and so my hope is that perhaps a partnership with Head Start would allow us to do a renovation where either the federal government foots the bill for an addition, or we could do some cost sharing there. But that's mostly kind of in the back of my devious plans. So this allows us to better cement a footprint for a very long time in all 3.
And then I'm curious, Shana, when you had the strategic plan committee, and then what they determined was presented to the board. How did the board accept it?
So the committee put together the strategic plan, and all of the board members were participating in that
Okay.
work as well. And so we were involved throughout the whole process. So when it came to the board, it was more like, yes, we're all engaged. We've all been engaged in the whole thing. We are fully committed to the work. But I think what was important about that is we got to hear firsthand what was important to folks in our district and to our students and our parents and our community members and our teachers, so that we felt really good about the plan we adopted, because we felt like this is reflective of what we've heard, over the last year, and certainly through the strategic planning process.
Were there things that surprised you?
Not really. I mean, I'm a parent in the district too, so I mean, a lot of the things that came up were things that I personally think about as well. I think that's why I was really intrigued by the plan that Nate has kind of outlined with the elementary schools. My children are going into 5th and 8th grades right now, and it is a challenge to start middle school in 5th grade, and there's a lot of anxiety happening in my household right now, because he only knows 40% of the kids who are going into 5th grade, because he went to Winston Elementary here. But no, I think I don't think there were any big surprises. I think it really reflected a lot of the things that we'd been talking about for a while, and it was nice to kind of get that confirmation that I think the board and Nate were really on the same page as the parents and the community members that we were hearing from.
And then Nate, do you foresee legislation this coming session to support financially the free lunch program?
Great question. And Austin had a great article in, was that 2 weeks ago? Maybe last week? Okay, fine.
He doesn't read the paper.
Anyway, Austin hosted myself and
Oh,
the superintendents from Watertown Mayor and Lester Prairie, and we talked about this very thing. And ironically enough, that's a thing that's on a lot of superintendents' minds, is the universal breakfast and lunch program already has a larger price tag than anticipated. And what does it look like moving into the future to fund it? Because what's happened more often than not with schools is the legislature or governor or whoever has a really great idea, it gets fully funded, but eventually the costs of that continued program outstrip the funding, and then the local district is responsible for that gap. And so that's making a lot of us nervous, but at least for the next year or two, it sounds like there's enough money for that program.
Okay.
But in that article, Austin does a really great job of gathering some facts and some data, not just from the 3 districts here, but then from across the state, that kind of paint a picture as to, what are the benefits of this? How has this thing helped? And then what are some storm clouds on the future for it?
I'm done.
Thanks, Tom. Good questions.
Anybody else have any questions?
I just have a comment. Appreciate the idea of getting the teacher groups together, because I think I can speak to this personally from when I went to school, and I see it with my kids now. They may not connect with a particular teacher, different one convey the same message, get somewhere. So
Yeah. And what the research has continued to show is that when you put teachers on teams like this and you give them time to collaborate and respond to real-time student achievement data, student learning and student achievement just go through the roof. And so this is the first step of a collaborative culture of a true professional learning community. And so it's something that's super exciting, and we're eager to get this underway.
I just have a comment. I strongly believe in goals and objectives and focus areas, and I think you guys did a really good job. I'm just kind of reading over it now, and the only thing, the objectives are the important part.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And And to start, or kind of the first phase of really implementing the strategic plan, I think that was very important to me was to have a formalized evaluation process for myself. And so at the last school board meeting, the board approved a process for my evaluation, which is centered on goals that are aligned to the focus areas. And then, and these are things that I end up being held accountable for throughout this year and moving forward into the future.
I think Neil's fairly comfortable with that, too. We do the same thing here.
Very good.
And just so you know, he probably wouldn't have given you a compliment if he would have known I was part of these objectives as well. So, goal setting meeting.
He's right.
Thank you both.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And if you have any other questions about it, feel free to reach out, board members, myself. We're happy to talk through it, and we appreciate your time tonight. Thanks, guys.
We're just calling Shayna.
That's fine. I get that
Find me
too.
on the website. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely.
You guys, if you want to leave, you can certainly leave this before we start the regular meeting, or you can sit around and wait for
We'll
us.
do that, yeah.
That's-
I got, it's ready for sports and all the things, so thank you so much.
Yep, thanks. We're going to go ahead with the consent agenda. Item A, approve the minutes of the following city council work session, July 16th, city council regular meeting, July 16th. Item B, authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to execute an agreement with Safe Assure Consultants Incorporated to provide a safety program for the city of Winston in the amount of $3,800 and $38.13.26. Adopt resolution R-24-24, accepting a donation from TDS to be dedicated towards the 2024 Winston Night Out event. Item D, adopt resolution R-24-25, accepting donations in the amount of $14,500 to be dedicated toward the cost of the fireworks display on Friday, August 9th, 2024, in conjunction with the Winston Summer Festival. Item C, approve the pledged securities that Security Bank and Trust Company has purchased for the city of Winston for the month of July 2024. Item F, approve the building permit report for the month of July 2024. Item G, approve the financial report for the month of June 2024. And item H, approve the claims list for August 2024. That's the consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion to approve that.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, and I abstain from voting on item E.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. No public hearing, no old business, but under new business, we have Resolution R-2426, Land Exchange Agreement between Yukon Land Company LLC and Bridgeland Development Company. Neil, you want to walk us through that?
Yes. So, this has been in process for a few months now, but as you know, Milliburn Manufacturing has purchased what was the old Proform, was old Milliburn Systems, and we happen to own land that is between those two properties. So I was approached by Mr. Trevor Milliburn on if we would be willing to part with that land. There's a few complications with doing that, but what he would like to do is put a driveway that would connect the two properties so he didn't have to go onto County Road 1. In order to do that, we have to allow the parkland to be vacated, and that was given as part of a development deal with Grass Lake Farms. So we would like to do a land exchange. We do not have current access to this parcel, so we have to, whenever this was done, really, hopefully this would be correcting a mistake. Whenever this was done or first platted through Grass Lake Farms, we were never given permission or access to this land, so we would have to ask others to go if we wanted to get to our own land at this current time. Couple advantages to this: we keep some traffic off of County Road 1. We also will be able to tax that property that we can't use at this time. And the third one would be that we would be able to get a park that we would have access to. Now, it won't be the same size, but it is something that will be usable to us. And all we're looking for tonight, there's a few steps to this process, but we need the original developers who have since gone out of business. We need them. They have what's called a reversionary interest, and this piece starts the first piece of the puzzle and removes their reversionary interest in this property.
Any questions for Neil?
No.
Not, we're looking for a motion.
I'd make a motion to adopt Resolution R-24-26, authorizing the mayor and city clerk treasurer to execute a land exchange agreement with Yukon Land Company LLC and Bridgeland Development Company with substantially the same terms and form provided in the city council packet, subject to changes acceptable by the city's legal counsel.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We've come to the organization report. Tonight is Winstead's Country Music Festival, Holy Trinity School. Come on up.
Hello, I'm Shelley Mendiola, and I'm the new principal at Holy Trinity School. So I just wanted to start by saying thank you for allowing me to be here tonight to share just a few highlights of our year. Number one, going into this school year, our main priority is increasing our enrollment. And we have made an increased effort in our marketing department. You may have seen some of our billboards on Highway 7 and Highway 12, and lots of postcards that have gone out, social media. So we've just really increased our marketing efforts. Our enrollment is very close to as it has been in years past. We have a retention rate this year of about 90%. We're very proud. We have a very rich and long tradition at Holy Trinity. We are entering our 141st year of educating students. So something that we're very proud of. In addition, that we are one in only 4 schools in the state of Minnesota that are a Catholic parish school, grades pre-K through 12. And we're all on one campus. That's what makes us unique. So we're, as I said, we're just very proud of that fact. We are offering busing this year to a certain demographic, mostly south of us, Hutchinson, Silver Lake, Glencoe. And so it is an opportunity for us to serve our current families and also to help with that retention. And we have new students as a result of offering that transportation piece. We are blessed. We consider ourselves very blessed to be part of the Winstead community. And we hope that you feel the same about having a parochial school here in your town. I know that our families hopefully are generating and supporting local businesses. I'm from out of town, and I know I do lots of grocery shopping here and coffee runs, and when I work late, I patronize your restaurants. So our families do support businesses here. And we are always open to ideas of how we can better partner with you, the community, how we can help serve you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excited?
I'm excited. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. Holy Trinity has been a part of our family for a very long time.
Now, you taught at Holy Trinity prior to this?
I did. I taught there for 4 years. My oldest son, who's 22, started preschool at Holy Trinity. So I have 6 children, 3 of whom have graduated, and I have 3 current students.
Okay. So if you had more children,
They would
enrollment will go up.
Probably. And then just to give comment about Winstock, that with their tremendous generosity, we were able to purchase new history textbooks for our senior high students. And probably our most exciting announcement is that we were able to hire a staff person in special education this year, something that our school has never.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Now the good-looking guy.
Yeah, right. Well, haven't heard.
I'm Dave Danielson. I was past chairman of Winstock. This was my last year. Boy, I ended on a bang, let me tell you. This year was a challenging year, but it was our 30th year anniversary, and it was officially a sellout. Steve Loxon, who we all know that he would never stretch anything, he said that we had permit for 18,999, and he said we had 19,003 wristbands given out. So I said, well, that means we're over. And he said, nope. He said, you got to remember, we have to reband some people. So we were real close to the 19,000 people, or 18,990. So anyhow, so yes, it was a good year. But it was first year I remember out of being part of Winstock forever that we pulled people in and we pulled people out. And some people had lakeshore property for a while in their campsites. It was a mess. I mean, with the wet spring, there was no place for the water to go.
Not the first time.
No, but this was hard. This was really, it was successful. We were able to give some money to the school yet, but we have a lot of work to do yet. The roads all need to be taken care of, and I mean, it's just all around. We got more work to do. Thursday night was great. I started out with the beanbag tournament, which is just continues to bring in a lot of people and seems great. Fire department had their spaghetti dinner, which I think was another I think they ran out again, like most of the time they do. But it was really organized this year. Man, it was bang, bang, bang. So, and then we had the music Friday night, or Thursday night rather. Friday was a perfect day. The weather, we couldn't ask for anything better. We would have had a Friday and or a Friday night like Saturday. I don't know what would have happened. But, it was a perfect day. Everything went really well. Then came Saturday, rain, go away. The rain didn't go away, but Sarah Evans and Josh Turner did. And as a chairman, that's the toughest thing in the world, where you got to let somebody go because it was raining. And
But that decision not to play is theirs, is it not?
no, well, I mean, it's got to be, because we do have a contract.
Right.
But basically Jason Aldean, the headliner, and the second, John Party, they had so much stuff on the deck that they were playing right on the front, and they were going to they were getting wet. So we had to make a decision and put them out. We still got to pay them. It was, I hate having to do that. We've had to do that a couple times in my tenure as the chairman, and it's tough. I mean, they don't like you're not playing either. So, but anyhow, we got through it. Like I said, we got a lot of money to spend on building back the roads and the land, but we were able to still give a nice check to the. That was our main goal. Next year's dates are June 20th and 21st. It's the third full weekend of the year. Everybody says, well, this moved back. This is as late as it can get because the first of the month is on a Sunday. So, so the 20th and 21st. Headliners are Thomas Rhett and Jordan Davis. And we got pretty much everybody is starting to fall into line. So I think our September announcement day will be really close to being a full lineup. Exciting. I want to thank the Winstock community, or the Winstead community, for having Winstock as a grand marshal of this year's parade. Great honor, and that was good. So we really appreciated it. Other projects we're looking at doing in addition to getting the grounds back to where they were. So we're looking at a new front house, and that's where they do all the mixing right out front where the spotlights are on. And so we are looking at what that would take, because now they want 6 spotlights up there. You know, the bigger the band, the bigger the headache, I say, but the bigger you got to do. So we are looking at that possibility. And if we would do that, most of the people that are doing that, they also put in a screen behind it. So you still get the video, and it's amazing how many, because we do have a big void right where the front house, where you can't see. Put a screen there, they fill it in. Well, people like watching TV. So it's something we're looking at. I don't know if we'll, we got RAM doing some bids on it right now, and I'm trying to get a hold of some. WeFest just put up one. I'm trying to get a hold of their designs, just see what works. But for me personally, without City of Winstead's help, Winstock wouldn't be where we were, where we are. I mean, I remember the days you would haul up picnic tables, and I mean, the maintenance people would be out there helping. I mean, it took a community to make this thing what it is today. And I just want to personally thank everybody for that, because a lot of you I've seen around, helping out with Winstock, getting into what it is. So thank you. Made my job a lot easier. Like I tell everybody, I just orchestrator, but it takes a lot. Anybody got any questions? It's my last time you can get a shot at me. Officially, anyhow.
I assume you're staying on in some capacity yet, huh? Are you retired?
Well, I'm
completely?
working on that front house project, and yeah, I'll be there. I mean, it's just, things
Can't leave it up to
happen, and
Ryan.
I'm telling you, and Ryan Genixman, who's going to be taking over, I mean, his full-time job is working at Target Center as an event manager, so he knows more about the business than I do, but it's the people. I mean, this whole thing is people's. How do you hire a volunteer? We've had to do it. We've had some that just overstep their bounds, and you have to let them go, and it's tough. But I wouldn't trade what I did for anything. I mean, it's made me a better person.
How was security this year?
Security was fantastic. No, we have the best security out of any of the events. Anybody that's ever went to any place else, I will guarantee you that we have more presence of security. And I mean, look at the medical facility we have. We have doctors, nurses right on site. I mean, we are doing this as a community thing. We want it to go and present itself. We're not in it to make how many millions of dollars we can. Just, I think we're doing a good job. I'm sure Ryan will continue, and we'll keep flipping eggs. But thank you again, though, personally, for everything you've done to help me get through 20 years.
And I do give Ryan a lot of grief, but he's actually working tonight at a show, so
Yes, he is.
couldn't come. But I wish he was here because I would give him more grief.
Well, thanks for the report.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
We've come to the open forum section of the meeting. If anybody wants to address the council, step up to the podium, name and address. Nobody, so we'll move over to the city administrator updates and announcements. Neil?
I don't have a ton, but we had a great weather and very well attended summer festival this year. So thank you to the chamber and everybody who was involved in putting that on. And we're going to cancel the first meeting in September. There's the first council meeting and work session. So at the second meeting, our preliminary budget will be set, which will be the first meeting. That's second meeting.
So September 3rd is not going to, or 2nd, one of the, what is,
Correct. Yep.
it's not going to happen.
Right.
Anything else, Neil?
Nope, that's all I have.
Tom, do you have anything?
I do not.
Nope.
Jesse? Well, it's you.
No, sir.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I
Meeting adjourned.